And welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs, aka the Podfather, and I am joined by a special friend of mine and supporter of the podcast. This is Erik Osbeck. Erik, welcome to the OHIO podcast, my man.
Good morning, How? I just love being here, and this is kind of an honor because not many people get this, and so yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, so Erik was a supporter of ours way back when we were audio only, many years ago. Erik, he and his dear wife came to our initial tailgate that we had. I think that was pre-COVID. Actually,
Yeah,
I believe so.
yeah.
So it's been a while, and Erik has been a big supporter of ours, and we appreciate that. So Erik has seen and heard many iterations of this podcast come and go over the years, and here we are now, video now, and good to have you on, my man. So let's start here, dude. I'm wearing my national championship hat this morning. What an amazing run. Put this run, this playoff run into perspective for me because Erik, I know you think a lot like the way Chris and I were thinking this season with all these expectations going into the season. We were excited for the season. You know, you had the 1 point loss in Oregon, then you had the huge disappointment against the team up north. And I had kind of lost some mojo as a fan, man, and then they just go on this run. Tell me about your perspective in this thing.
Well, I think everybody knows who listens to the podcast that I was devastated after that loss, and it was really hard to get over. And I came on your program and I just let loose on Ryan Day and Kelly and the coaching staff. And then I came back on and I apologize because they really stepped up when they needed to. And I didn't think that was possible because, we've seen how they reacted against Georgia and then last year with Missouri. And, it just, you know, as a Buckeye fan, we expect greatness. We're not Purdue, we're not Illinois. We expect greatness every year, and I think sometimes that might be uh, maybe just too much. Sometimes I think the amount of excellence that we demand as fans, and I'm sure they do as players, sometimes can be overwhelming. And I think sometimes we kind of have to put our fandom uh, in check. And I'm talking about myself because I was just angry as ever I've been. Four losses to that team. I mean, I got flashbacks of Cooper and those years where it was just dark, where we would run roughshod through the entire schedule, lose to them, and then lose to teams like Air Force. I mean, it was just it was a bad time, and I was getting those flashbacks. I was getting Buckeye PTSD, and uh, I just didn't have the confidence in Ryan Day. I was almost like, well, maybe he was born on third, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but he showed me a lot. I think he showed everybody. I think um, uh, Kelly showed up right when he was supposed to. This is why he was brought in. When they actually let the players play and just let loose with all that talent, unstoppable. And yeah, these last four games have been, I think, some of the best in Ohio State history. This run is going to be remembered forever.
Yeah.
As good as '02, as good as 14, as good as 68 was. I really think that this team is going to be, well, what does it say on your hat? One for the ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
One for this is going to be something that, you know, yes, exactly. I think that, our kids and our grandkids are going to go, wow, that 2024, 25 team was amazing. And I think it's going to be remembered even more because this is the first year of the expanded playoffs.
Right.
Um, and just as the 14 team is going to be remembered forever because that was the expanded playoffs also, this is even more impressive because of who we played, because we weren't given a chance. And, I didn't give them a chance. I thought we're going to beat Tennessee, but then we're going to go against Oregon. And I was thinking Ryan Day's coaching block is going to come back and, he's going to tighten up again. And he just let loose. I
Yeah.
think he had a lot of anger too. And I think he was like, I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to show the fans. I'm going to show my critics. He was just going to let loose and he wasn't going to stop until he won the national championship.
Yeah.
Um, and I also think that Ryan Day was getting sick of living under Urban's shadow, because he was Urban's guy. And Urban said, hey, this is the one I want to replace me. And everybody's like, okay, we'll give him a chance. He had that nice 3 game coaching, uh, what was it, 2018 when he was like,
20
he
yeah,
could,
2018 when Urban was suspended and he got the
right.
the trial run. Yeah.
Yeah, like the first 3 games. Um, and we're like, hey, this guy's pretty good too. But I think that this is going to cement him in Ohio State lore. Just as Urban's name is going to go up in the shoe with the national championship, Ryan Day's name is going to be up there also.
Yeah.
Um, and I think he deserved it, and it was amazing to see. I love Ryan Day when he is excited and when he gets emotional, and you know sometimes watching him on the sidelines, you don't see that. You want him to be kind of like a Woody almost, where he's just like, he's always just like, running down the sidelines like he was with the Jack Sawyer scoop and score. You want him throwing his headset in the air. You want that. You want to see that because as a fan, that's what you're feeling. And you want your coach to, you know, be your representative on the field. You want him to be angry or excited. And we saw all of that. And it was amazing. It was exciting. Um, Usually watching an Ohio State game, I'm down here in my basement, and my wife has to be upstairs because she doesn't want to hear, you know, the screaming and the words and the grumbling. But watching these playoff games, there was none of that. It was like, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
After that first drive against Tennessee, I'm like, you know what? There's something different. Something changed. And it just kept growing and growing. And then, during the Oregon game, I was like, we got this.
Mhm.
Even before the kickoff, I was like, we got it. And Texas, we were down in Texas, and even when it was close, all year, our goal line defense has saved us. I mean, whether it was the interception in the end zone at Penn State or the goal line stand at Penn State, we had goal line stands all year that just it was like a movie. You don't expect that every single game. And it came up again in the Texas game. When we had Texas, you know, in our face on our 2 yard line, and we kept getting those penalties in the end zone. I was like, you know what? We're good. Our defense has got this because that goal line stand that happened throughout the year happened again.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. And I think that's why Notre Dame went for that field goal because they saw that. The coaches saw that. Marcus Freeman saw that. He saw it all year long. He saw it 1 game ago.
Mhm.
And he's like, we can't bust through this. And that's why they went for the field goal. That's when they doinked it. And, I think even though it was getting close and, they were coming back and they were getting those 2 point conversions, after that doink, I was like, you know what? We're going to win this game. Whether it's going to be by 1 point or double digits, we got it.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've ever felt that way um, in a while about a Buckeye game this big.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I would say 2014's national championship game against Oregon, I felt that way
yes,
because we kind of had a similar run. You know, the Big Ten championship game. Um, and then the game against Alabama, and it almost felt like the national championship against Oregon was kind of anticlimactic. Not that this national championship game against Notre Dame was anticlimactic, but I think the totality of those three games against Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas is I equate that to kind of the same feeling I had in 2014 against Alabama, and not to compare the two in historical fact in fashion, but I think just the confidence as a fan, you know, at that point, given what you've seen, witnessed, and whatnot. You bring up Ryan Day and you talk about Ryan Day, Eric, and you know, uh, your opinion, I would say, has probably changed very similar to mine about Ryan Day. Yes, there's still the four consecutive losses against the team up north. However, a couple of those might get erased from the history books here.
that's
And
right.
if that's the case, then obviously we're going to try to erase them from our minds as well as fans. But I am of the I am of the school of thought now that Ryan Day, with this recent run he has had, he's almost a different man. He's almost a different coach. And I think the confidence that the fan base, people like you and me who talk about this, who breathe this stuff, the difference between when we left the shoe or turned off the television on November 30th of 2024 compared to how we feel about this man now is palpable, is what's going to push him over the edge to where when this team goes into Ann Arbor next year, I think we can win this game. Not necessarily because of the roster, because we should have won the game this year because of the roster. I think it'll be because of Ryan Day. I think he
100%.
has
I agree
learned.
with you 100%.
All right, speak to that a little bit. What's changed in your mind with Ryan Day?
Well, I think Ryan Day kind of had that same coaching block that Cooper did, where he knew he was better than anybody. And he just ran roughshod over everybody he ran into during the regular season. But when it comes to the big games, especially against them, he tightens up and he plays not to lose. And when you do that, you don't win. And I think after that initial, win in 2019, and then when that team decided not to play us
Yep.
in 2020, when the series resumed, I think he was like, okay, I have to win because of what I said about running up 100 points on.
Mm.
And I think he really tightened up. And that was, I think, the beginning of the end for him in those kind of games because I think he got himself um, just mentally um, destroyed before those games even started. So even though he might have had a great game plan, I don't think he trusted himself enough or trusted his staff or trusted the players. And then every year it just got compounded and got worse. And I think he's over that now. I think with his last four games, he's like, you know what? We're just going to go out there, play Ohio State football, and we're going to beat you up. It doesn't matter. We go down 7 points, doesn't matter. We're going to come back and we're going to smoke you. And I think that's what really changed. I think it was a mental block. And, now he knows what it's like to win the big ones. Now he knows what it's like to win the big one. I think when he goes into the shoe for that first home game and he looks up into the north end and they reveal 2024, that place is going to go nuts. I think it's going to be, that whole 103,000 people are just going to explode and he's going to get that little tingle on the back of his neck and he's like, you know what? I want this again and again and again. And this might be the beginning of something great. I mean, even if we don't win another national championship for another 10 years, I think this is the turnaround for Ryan Day and his coaching.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to convince Chris to join us in that in that thought. And I keep trying to equate it to a tush push. Like Ryan Day's got the football at the goal line,
Yep.
and he's going to need us as fans to give him the confidence to push him across the finish line here, because I believe he can do it. I believe he will do it. I believe he can do it. Um, you know, this entire offseason will be a celebration of what has been in the past year, and I plan on celebrating this team for as long as I can breathe, because this team deserved it, and I think this team was very unique. I think that the fact that a lot of them who could have went pro came back, thanks to NIL and thanks to probably not winning, and achieving their goals in 2023, and believing that they could. And then the flag planting incident in November, all of these things I think equated to what the change was for the players. And then having that come in the Jesus moment with the players and Ryan Day in that meeting only, players only meeting with Ryan Day. I think those are the catalysts for what the change was between November 30th and when they played Tennessee in the college football playoff. And so,
I
in a in,
completely agree with everything
in a
you just
weird
said.
way, Eric, we kind of have to thank Michigan for some of that. In a
Yeah,
weird
I do.
in a weird
Um,
way.
and let's go back to that game too. Like you said, we had this roster that was just stacked, and Michigan was depleted. It was, our game to lose, and we did. And I think you're right. I think it, that was Ryan Day's moment to either sink or swim. It was either, hey, we go down together or we win this whole thing together. And I keep saying it, but it's like a Disney movie.
It
It's
is.
like Miracle. you know, you got in the locker room. It's like, last year was their turn. This year it's our turn. And that's what it was. I think he just took him in the locker room and said, "Hey, what do we need to do? What do we need as coaches to show you how we do this?" And I think it took everybody. And who knows? Someone might write a book about this, and we'll find out exactly what happened. But it was, like I said, it was amazing. And one more thing about that game, Nick Saban went on ESPN and he said, we as fans need to shut up, basically, about Ryan Day. But we weren't going against him personally. We were going against him professionally. And I think big that's a big difference, because if we were going after him personally, then that is way beyond the pale. Never should happen. You should never attack anybody like that. Yes, hey, if you're not doing a great job, then you should be called on the carpet for it. But I don't think Nick Saban actually understands, because he beat Auburn almost every single year. There wasn't, when he went into the Iron Bowl, he just said, "No, we're going to win this thing." And he did. 90% of the time he was winning it. So he doesn't know what it's like to be on the other end. If he was getting his butt kicked every year by Auburn, you know, in Tuscaloosa, you know, in front of his fans when he was supposed to win a national championship, and he was getting beat every year, his fans would be saying the same thing.
Hmm.
So he doesn't know what it's like to be on the other end of that. And us as Ohio State Buckeye fans, we've been blessed. I think a lot of the people who are watching this podcast don't know what it was like pre 2000, pre Tressel.
Hmm.
Uh, well, let's put it this way: pre Tressel and Mo. Those, like I said before, those two men deserve to be on any Ohio State Mount Rushmore, and they deserve to be together, because it was those two men that launched Ohio State into what it is today. The From 2000 until 2019, we were unstoppable
Dominant,
against them.
dominant, yeah, dominant,
You
and
know,
it really it sent their program into a tailspin that was.
how many coaches from Michigan did we push out the door? Three, maybe
Um,
four?
I'm gonna say three. I don't think we pushed Harbaugh out the door. I think Harbaugh
Well,
pushed
he kind of
Harbaugh
pushed
out the door.
himself.
Yeah, but yeah, you definitely pushed Rich Rod. You definitely pushed Brady Hoke,
Yep.
and I think Tressel even they even got tired of the one before Rich Rod. His name slipped my mind. That had beaten Cooper, and then Tressel flipped it on him. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely about that. Um, speaking to where we're at now with this program and where we are as fans, I want to touch on what you said about us as fans and kind of our approach with Ryan Day. It's never that we didn't want Ryan Day to succeed. That was
Right.
never the case with 99.9% of the people who interact with us and our community here at the OHIO podcast. We all wanted Ryan Day to succeed. And there was just this doubt that got settled in that came to fruition on November 30th, where it was like, he's not going to. And I think the reason being is because, like he stated, he had the roster to do it. Everything was given to him through the boosters, through NIL, through the coaching staff, through the players. And we can go back in time, you and I could do this, where we would look at individual seasons and they'd have a national championship defense, but the offense wasn't there. Or vice versa. They'd have a national championship offense, but the defense wasn't on par. 2020, for instance, right? You had a national championship defense in 2019, but the offense wasn't quite there, and then it flip flopped in 20. Um, you put 2019's defense and 2020's offense together, we're national champions at least one of those times. But this year he had both. It was the perfect storm, which made that loss so devastating. But then to see the flip and then the success and the run that happened was just it was just an amazing thing. Like you said, a Disney story. And so when you look at that, and now you turn the page and you go into 2025. I am trying to settle and simmer expectations because there's a lot that Ryan Day is going to have to do. Number one, he's got a whole new defensive coordinator. I think it's going to be Matty G. By the time that this episode posts, we might have gotten our answer. But so you're gonna have a new defensive voice. In other words, I think that the offense, you're going to have a new quarterback, right? That's always an experience. You go back and you look at the new quarterback experiences that we've had before. This year, Will Howard, even though he was experienced, he was new to the team. 10-2 regular season. You had Kyle McCord the year before that, 11-1. Probably, in all honesty, the best first season a quarterback has had at Ohio State in a long time, record wise. I'm not giving Kyle McCord all the credit for that, but you know what I mean. CJ Stroud, right? CJ Stroud in 2021 was 10-2 his first year. Um, you take those first years and then you equate what Julian's saying, who I'm assuming is probably going to at least have the first or the best opportunity to win the job. I put him in the driver's seat to be the starting quarterback next year. And you look at the schedule, and then you look at everybody they're replacing, left the tackles on the offensive line, a Remington winning center, although he was already replaced during the run, but you get my point. Emeka Egbuka, one of the voices in that wide receiver room, the leading voice in that wide receiver room is not there. Uh, and then the running back room is basically completely flipped over, and that's just on the offensive side. Then you look at the defensive side, and you're replacing 9 starters on the defensive side. I'm looking at 2025 and going, okay, Can we get to a play? Can we get to the playoff? Can we be in the top 12? That's kind of my question. That's my expectation for this team. Plus, you got Texas in non-conference. You got Penn State, who is trying to copy what Michigan and Ohio State did by bringing everybody back, stealing our defensive coordinator, etc. You got them. You got it. You've got that Michigan monkey at the end of the season. 10-2 is kind of my thinking. Oh, and we have a very difficult trip to Champaign, Illinois as well that no one's talking about. That team's got a ton coming back and is going to be very, very good next year. 10-2 is what I'm thinking. What do you think, Eric?
I think I'm right there with you. I think that Penn State game is going to be the game of the year for us because we're going against Knowles. It's going to be, I guarantee you, that's where game day is going to be. That's where Big Ten kickoff is going to be. That game is going to really show us where we are. Because if we can beat, you know, our old, DC, I think that's going to give the team and the fans, that punch we need to really go to the end of the season. Texas, we'll see. Who knows? Might be starting. It might be Archie. It might be somebody else. Who knows? But even if we lose to Texas, I'm not going to be devastated. I think we will beat Michigan this year, even though it's up north, even though it's going to be a hostile crowd. I think that the confidence that this season brought to our staff and to Ryan Day is going to push us. And, we've gone up there and we've smoked them before, and we'll do it again. And this is the year to start it. And, I think that countdown clock in the Woody is going to fire us up instead of being afraid of it. I think the last 4 years we've tightened up and we're like, oh God, it's next month, it's next week, it's tomorrow. I think this year we're looking at that clock saying, I can't wait for it to be tomorrow. I can't wait for it to be today. And they're going to go out there and it might be a tight game, but I think we're going to win it.
Beautiful.
Um, the other thing about the loss this year and why I was so mad and why I was so fired up is because of the seniors. They came back specifically to do the three things that Ryan Day wanted to do. And, miracles being miracles, we accomplished the big one. We didn't beat Michigan and we didn't go to Indianapolis, but we won the national championship. They got the hoisted trophy. And that's what those seniors wanted. And that's what angered me and saddened me so much about that Michigan game because I didn't think that we were going to accomplish that. And I felt so bad for that senior class. All those guys that said, we're coming back because we know we can do this. And it just seemed after that game and the week after that game, it's not going to happen. And these seniors came back and they got kicked in the face. And I think the hero of the entire season has got to be Jack Sawyer. Uh, when the flag got planted, who was the one that showed so much emotion, who understood what it is to be a Buckeye? And I think he just took this team on his back. And once again, it's a movie. The
Hmm.
hero is Jack Sawyer.
Right.
He took our team and our fans and he said, you know what? Follow me. We're going to do this. And it, if you looked at that Tennessee game, who was doing this in the end zone? You know, when we were stopping Tennessee, it was Sawyer. It was always Jack Sawyer who was just, you know, showing emotion and going crazy, and it was Howard and Sawyer looking at each other and grabbing each other and saying, "Let's
Yeah.
do this, let's go."
Yeah.
And you could see it on the sidelines. You could see the emotions, and they were just feeding off each other. And I think, as decimated as Howard was after that Michigan loss, I think that interception kind of really took him out of that entire game. And I think after that, the coaches really didn't trust him to throw downfield. There was maybe it was a concussion, maybe it wasn't, but those two fed on each other. And I think that was the catalyst for what happened.
Yeah.
I really do. And then just it was, 85 yards through the heart of the South. It was 82 yards through the heart of Texas. And as soon as Sawyer picked up that ball, I was like, this is it. We just won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Just as when Zeke ran, I thought that's the national championship right there. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was the best sequel ever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's three plays that you can literally in the last three national championships. There are three plays that you can highlight and saying that was the moment. You got the Maurice Claret strip in
Yes.
'02. Right? You got Zeke 85 yards to the heart of the South against Bama in the quarterfinals, and then you've got Jack Sawyer's sack, strip, scoop, and score against Texas in the quarterfinals. Those three plays kind of highlight those national championship runs for those teams. And what is really unique about all three of those things, and we've talked about this and we've discussed it, but all three of those teams, you look at the quarterback, Craig Krenzel, Cardale Jones, Will Howard, and it's not C.J. Stroud, it's not Justin Fields, it's not Dwayne Haskins, like, and those three guys, along with J.T. Barrett, I think are the names people think of, Braxton Miller included, that you would think those are the guys that'll win you a national championship when you recruit them and you bring them on and they start and you develop them. And at the end of the day, I think it's a testament to it's not a player that'll win you a national championship. It's the team that'll win you a national championship. And all three of those examples, it was the team more so than the quarterback. But just an interesting thing to think about. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Erik's fandom specifically. About we're going to talk about him. We've talked about the team. We've talked about what it means to be a Buckeye as far as this season goes. But I want to talk to him about him in particular. So we'll be right back.
Hey, Buckeye Nation. The OHIO podcast is thrilled to partner with Export Mouthguards, the innovators redefining protection in contact sports. Introducing the Ninja Pro Mouthguard, the strongest and most advanced mouthguard on the market. Engineered by dental experts, it's designed to deliver elite protection with a sleek, low-profile fit. Made with carbon fiber and multi-layer construction, it's impact tested to keep you safe from even the hardest hits. But that's not all. The Ninja Pro is 3D printed for 100% custom fit, offering unbeatable comfort and security for any athlete. From football to MMA, dominate your game with confidence while safeguarding your teeth and jaw. Getting started is easy. Use our home impression kit to create your custom fit and enjoy prepaid shipping. It's protection delivered right to your door. Plus, with a 1-year warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee, and proudly made in the USA, the Ninja Pro is your ultimate defense on the field or in the ring. And here's the best part. When you visit exportguards.com, use promo code OHIO at checkout to get 20% off your purchase. That's right, 20% off elite protection made just for you. Protect your game, protect your future. Choose Export Ninja Pro Mouthguards, where innovation meets protection. Head to exportguards.com and use promo code OHIO today.
All right, we are back. Thank you to Export Mouthguards for sponsoring this video. And if you have a kiddo or a grandkid or you yourself, and when you're in need of a mouth guard, you need to go to export.com. You need to get the very best, protect the teeth, protect your brain from getting a concussion. And yeah, believe it or not, mouth guards can help prevent that. They absorb that impact that you might suffer from that. And use the promo code OHIO, promo code Ohio, 20% off. It's the best promo code for export nation to nation right here at the OHIO podcast. Why? Because my brother's the CEO. That's why. All right, Erik, let's start here, man. And it's been a long time since I've talked to you about this, and I know we've talked about this before, but tell everybody how you became a Buckeye fan.
Well, my mom back in the 50s used to be on the field with the band. She was the baton twirler. So, her being on the field and loving Ohio State and going here, um, she was the person who started my fandom. She was like, back, nobody understands this, but we only had three channels back then.
Hmm.
And we had WOSU. And WOSU on Sunday mornings used to play the entire Ohio State game commercial free. And she used to say, watch this game, watch this team. I love Ohio State. And I would watch every Sunday morning because, sometimes you wouldn't have the Ohio State game on TV. And it just grew and grew. And, I remember where I was when we beat Iowa, you know, and, back in the 80s, it was a driving rainstorm
Yeah.
and they were number one. And I was like, God, I love this team. And it was just, going to games with her back when the South Stands was just rickety, uh, you know, Lego looking,
Yeah.
structure that it had, and it was freezing. And, it was just her and I going to some games. I loved it, and I just going to Ohio State myself and walking past the shoe, it just grew every year. And now my son goes to Ohio State. He's about to graduate. And, it's just another, you know, generation of a Buckeye. And, I've taken my son to every single Ohio State Big Ten championship game, except for 2020, of course. And, when we lost to Michigan State, it devastated him.
Mm.
That was a long drive back from Indy. It
Hmm.
was, about a 3 hour trip. It seemed like it was about six
Yeah.
because he was devastated. And he goes, "We got to come back. We got to come back." And then we went to the uh, Wisconsin game where we beat them 56-0. We were there. And he was like, "We got to beat them down. We got to show everybody. We have to shut these guys out." And this is before the game started. I'm like, "I don't think we're going to do that, man. I don't think so." He goes, you watch. And I was like, oh, I saw myself in him. I was like, ooh, I was just like that. I was like,
Yeah.
I really hope so. And then every touchdown, every defensive stop, he would look at me and grab me and goes, I told you.
How
You
old
know,
was he about that time? He'd been like what, junior high, maybe?
he was 12.
Yeah.
He was 12 years old. And he was like, I told you, and just going crazy. And we're grabbing confetti coming from the ceiling. And, it was awesome. And just to see that in him, and then, I started to build this room down here and just, bit by bit and piece by piece. And he helped me. And, he always likes to say that my room is 99% done because it'll never be complete. You
Right.
can always add a little bit here and always add a little bit there. Um, but yeah, it's just looking at the scarlet and gray, it just, the back of my neck, just the hairs stand up. You know, I've told my wife, I've told my friends, I've told my brother, when I pass away, if I die, the last thing I want to be played at my funeral is Carmen, Ohio.
Mm,
That's it. That's how I want it to end. I want everybody just to lock arms, come together as one, Carmen, Ohio, and just that's the way to go out, man.
yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. Let's talk about your Buckeye basement there. I've got one as well, and you gave me a quick little tour during the commercial break, but I think you're on your phone, so you might be able to pick it up and walk with us here. Kind of walk around the room and share with everybody kind of what you got going on down there, man.
All right, so it's not just Ohio State, but it's also Cleveland. So I
Okay,
got some Cleveland memorabilia. Um, I got my 80-inch television here
nice.
playing the Rose Bowl.
There you go.
That's my son when he was playing football, so he's one of my heroes. He's down in the room. I have a signed Archie Griffin jersey. Got a popcorn machine. Uh, I have all of the from 2002 and 2014, all the bobbleheads.
Yes.
I have about 4,000 hats here. Uh, I got all my jerseys. And let's see. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Don't know if you can read that. It says,
Yeah,
this is from 2014, if you remember
champs.
that.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
It says, they called you lucky. They called you undeserving. They called your conference weak and your team untested. They called the other teams a dynasty, the favorite, unbeatable. They called your ranking disputable and surprising. They called you a fourth seed at that. They called you an underdog, but now they call you something else, champions. I mean, I just love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just like, little things here and there. I got the seating. So I got like, uh, I made basically theater seating down here.
Yep.
So the couch is up a little bit, so you can be sitting here. I bought these theater seats right here. And then, so it's not big, and I'm sure people have ones that are bigger, but this is where I come. This is my temple.
Nice. You know what? I love getting tours of people's Buckeye memorabilia and Buckeye rooms and their fandom. Roy. I've been to Roy's house and he's just got so much memorabilia. It's overflowing in different rooms and of course I built my own and it's been a labor of love for my wife and I Eric, I recently came across the Holy Grail. I picked up the Holy Grail.
What's that?
I got Woody Hayes' autograph.
Oh my God! How did you get that?
I know a guy who knows a guy, and I paid an arm and a leg for it, but I couldn't pass it up. And I'll tell you what happened because,
Well,
and
see, I
you'll get a
have
kick out of
this.
this.
It's Earl
Oh
Bruce's
yeah,
book, and he
yeah,
signed it.
nice.
So it's kind of close to the Holy Grail, but I love Bruce. He was just such a wonderful guy,
Yeah,
and I encourage anybody who doesn't know anything about Earl Bruce or who wasn't alive during that time, go back and study him and look what the kind of person he was and how he inspired his teams. And I think he was probably the last coach to wear the suit and tie on the sideline.
yeah,
You
one
know,
of them. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and
but
his fedora hat, right?
yeah,
Uh, I got that from my buddy Carl, who he is a huge Earl Bruce fan because when he was in college, he was on the training staff for Ohio State, and Earl Bruce was the coach, and so he has a huge respect for Earl Bruce, and I was able to find one. There's four of them out there. I was able to find one of them, and purchased it for him for his birthday slash Christmas. It's sitting in a case in his house, and
oh,
yeah, that to him was his holy grail. So,
that's
I
beautiful.
yeah, it was pretty cool find. Yeah, Earl Bruce was interesting too because he played for Woody Hayes at Ohio State. He goes on to have a epic high school coaching career in the state of Ohio and was on like a 43 straight game winning streak as a high school coach when he got hired to come back to Woody's staff as an assistant coach. He then coaches under Woody for a few years, goes and be the head coach somewhere in Tampa, I think, if I remember correctly. Then comes back to Ohio State and replaces Woody Hayes. And even though he was fired, he goes on to coach at Colorado State, I believe it was.
Lincoln,
After no,
right?
it was Iowa State. Iowa
I,
State, maybe.
Iowa State. I
Iowa
think it was
State.
Iowa State.
He goes on to coach there after he gets fired, but he comes right back to Columbus and literally has became for the remainder of his career, remainder of his life, an advocate for the university. Worked media, was on the radio. I remember when I was a kid, he would do the Monday night call-in shows on the 610 WTBN. My dad would listen to those on the radio, and I would sit and listen to it with my dad when I was a kiddo. And so I remember his hate for Michigan, man. That was instilled.
Yep.
He would make sure I mean, he gets so fired up, man. But
I
it's
tell you what, when
interesting,
he
John.
got carried off the field, you know, his last year, they had the
Headbands, yeah,
headbands, and uh, you you'd never wanted a coach to win so bad in your life than you did Earl Bruce that day. You didn't care what happened after that. You just wanted Earl Bruce to win that final game. And it was, yeah, he was a great guy.
yeah. He was. He was a tremendous guy, and he is to this day the only person to ever dot the I who was both a former player and former coach. That's pretty awesome. Tressel's got to be the next I dotter, man. I've
Oh
got to
yeah.
see that happen in my lifetime. Like that's something that absolutely got to happen, man.
Yeah, with
But no,
Tressel too, just like with Earl Bruce, Tressel went on to back to YSU.
yep,
Um, and but he never gave up that love for Ohio State.
right.
Every time you see him, he's got the sweater vest, he's got the scarlet and gray. I mean, he looks like he could coach tomorrow.
I know.
He
And
he just he's always
Cooper's the
there. He's
same
always
way.
on. Yeah.
Cooper gets fired. He still lives here in Columbus. He's on the
Yep.
radio. Like people love him, like and I think Urban Meyer, even though he's more national, he's the same way. He loves Ohio State. He's always going to.
Well, look at
And
him
I think
on Big Ten. What is it? Showdown or whatever
yeah,
their morning show is.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
always
Big Noon Kick.
OH. He's
Yeah,
always every time he's here, he's always just Buckeye through and through.
yeah.
There's none of that Florida Gator in him at
no,
all.
you don't see him up there chomping. That's
No,
for sure.
no, and there's no
uh
Utah Ute in him either. I mean, it's all Buckeye.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Luke Fickle to a man is the same way. He just and I still think that there's somewhere written in time somewhere. I think Luke Fickle gets another opportunity to come back and win one, whether it's as a coordinator or the head coach. If Day were to move on and we don't have the right person in place. But I digress. People's fandom and their love affair with these coaches and these players, it's pretty awesome to watch. And I appreciate. You know what? I'm gonna have to watch a game with you in your basement, man. That's gonna
There's
have to
room.
happen. Yeah, there's plenty of room here. I think Chris and I might have to come down, hook up the equipment. We'll do a game watch with you down there in the basement. That would be pretty cool. Now, if I caught it right, your mom went to Ohio State, you went to Ohio State, your son goes to Ohio State. That's
Yep.
3 generations now. And he's going to be graduating this spring. Is that what's going to be
He's going to
happening?
graduate in the shoe.
Oh, baby. That is awesome for you, dude.
I graduated in the shoe in '91. He's graduating in the shoe this year. I mean, it's awesome.
Oh, man. What a treat, dude. I'm so happy for you, man.
I am too. I got chills just thinking about it.
Yeah,
I
and
took
and
him
he got to watch a national championship his senior year.
exactly. Well, it's funny because I went 87-91, and I don't think we beat Michigan that entire stretch. And he's like, Dad, what kind of curse do we have on this team? Because his entire thing in here at
Yeah.
Ohio State, they've never beat them, but then they won the national championship. So uh, we went to the shoe for the celebration,
Yep.
you know, and we were freezing outside. It was cold.
Yeah.
We got inside that shoe. It was warm. It
Yeah. The sun
was
came out. It was awesome.
yes, it was perfect. It was like a perfect day. And it just we had such a great time, and those are the things I'm gonna remember forever. Is going to games with him. When you come over here, I have a bar that we made, and under that bar is just hundreds of tickets that him and I went to.
Oh wow.
Whether it's Buckeyes or the Indians, the Guardians, the Blue Jackets, it's all there. Every game we went together, Clippers. So, sports has kind of been a glue for him and me.
That's so cool.
And sharing all those things, sharing, even the losses. I took him, of course, Michigan State when they came here a couple of years ago beat us. The Michigan State loss in Indianapolis. Even those, he's like, okay, next time we're going to get him next time. And just sharing all those. We were there at Penn State when we beat them. In that epic drive, we were on the field. I mean,
Ah,
I'm old, and I hobbled onto that field. I couldn't get off the field. I had to be helped off the field. But yeah, he goes, Dad, if we win this game, this is like in the beginning of the fourth quarter, he says, we're going to storm the field. I'm like, we could try, and it got closer and closer. And there's like a minute on the clock. He's grabbing me by my jersey and dragging me to the place where we can jump onto the field. And to jump on the field and to storm the field with my son,
man.
that's the highlight of my life.
Oh, it's gotta be. That
I
is
mean,
awesome.
on the second date with my wife, second date right out of the gate, we didn't really know each other. You're feeling each other out. Like, what do you like? What don't? I took her to Ohio State, Michigan, because I had 2 tickets. That was the one time, and I got the thing back here, right there.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we win the game. We're in A deck. I lose my mind. I run down the stairs and jump on the field and start high fiving players and, you know, hugging people. I forgot I was on a date.
Oh no.
I looked into the stands and she is just
Oh,
shivering and freezing. I'm like, oh God, I blew it. I blew it. I go back in the stands. I said, I am so sorry. We just haven't beat these guys in prep. She goes, yeah, I understand. And I said, what do I have to do to make this up? She said, and this is how long ago it was. She said, we have to go to Northland Mall and do some Christmas shopping. I'm
Northland
like,
Mall.
let's go. I was like, all right, we got to go to Northland Mall. So,
if you would have if you would have
Ohio
told if you
State
would have
just
said
runs
city
through me.
if you would have said city center, you would have really dated yourself.
No, it goes even back. It was Northland Mall back when Northland Mall was the place to be. So I had to make it up to her by going to Northland Mall,
that's that's fantastic.
and we're still together. She's forgiven me, I think.
Lovely lady. I've met her several times at the tailgate. And speaking of the tailgate, Eric, obviously we're so excited for this year's tailgate. Going to be working out details with Ryan of Second and Seven. We're going to have a joint tailgate between the OHIO podcast and Second and Seven, where we try to raise money and books for Second and Seven at the tailgate. Have a good time celebrating the 2024 National Championship with some former players and some fans alike of the OHIO podcast. And I want to thank you for your $207 donation, Eric, that you sent me for Second and Seven. I really appreciate that. That is in the kitty, and we are raising money again for a second library that we're going to put in Waldo, Ohio. That's the plan, between Delaware and Marion, where Chris lives. That where Chris and I can continue to try to support Second and Seven and their mission in getting literature out to children and try to fight illiteracy in the state of Ohio amongst children. And so these little free libraries do so much in that battle, thanks to Ryan and Luke
Well,
Fickle
thanks
and
to you
Mike
guys
Vrabel.
too. I mean, you kind of, Second and Seven was around, but I think a lot of people are hearing about it because of you and Chris and everybody on this program. And, I just wanted to do a little bit, I wish I could give more, you know, but I encourage everybody, to give, whether it's a dollar or whatever it is, because it's such a worthy cause. There are so many causes out there that you don't know where the money goes. And this is one of the ones where you just know everything is going to where it should.
Yeah.
And
Well, Chris and I
I'm
don't
just
keep
humbled to
Chris
be
and
a
I don't
part of
keep
it.
a dime. We don't keep a dime of it. It goes straight to Second and Seven, and they utilize that. And if you've never been to Second and Seven's facility off of 23 there in the north part of Franklin County, right there on the Delaware Franklin County line on off of 23, uh, it is an amazing facility. If you are a teacher or you know someone who's an elementary teacher, let them know they literally have a free store you walk into. It's a library, and you can collect books to give to your students for free. And or if you're a librarian, anybody like that, go to secondandseven.com, go to their website, learn about this. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, Eric, I appreciate that very much. And I'm looking forward to having you back at the tailgate at the spring game. Maybe your son can come and come to that as well and
Oh,
get to
that'd be
meet him.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
every year I look forward to it, and my wife loves it because, it's a beautiful day. It's not going to be raining and snowing, you know.
hopefully.
It's not going to be 105,000 people. We can find a good place to park. So she's
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah.
but she loves hanging out with you guys. She really enjoys, who you are and your wives and the people you bring there. Is just, I encourage everybody to come out to the spring game pre festivities with you guys, because you get to know you, but it's also just such a fun time. And it's just, you know, getting to know you and just hanging out and, you know, playing games or eating. It's just everything that Ohio State football is. It's family, it's friends, it's camaraderie, it's everything.
Yeah, it is a load of fun. We do want to encourage everybody. It's absolutely free. The tickets are about. I think the tickets are somewhere around $8 now for the spring game. Get you a couple tickets. Gosh, if you can't, let us know. We'll help get them. It'll help get you one. Come on out to spring game. Hang out with everybody. Learn who everybody is in the Pod Squad community. And like I said, this year we're gonna have a lot of former players. We've had Wargo before. He stopped by and signed some autographs. Ryan did as well one time. We had Big Nut a couple years ago come afterwards. He came after the game and hung out. And so it's turned into kind of not only a morning tailgate before the spring game, but then after the spring game, we hang out for a couple hours and just talk about the game, shoot some videos, talk with some people. It's a lot of fun. It's turned into a yearly thing for us, and so we really want to encourage everybody who's watching this to do that. Eric, your last thoughts, man. I asked this to Lenny. I asked you this before, and I'm going to make a collage at the end of our fan interviews and player interviews before the beginning of the 2025 season. I want you to do me this favor. I want you to answer this question for me two ways. In one word, and then you can go on to explain why. What does it mean to Erik Osbeck to be a Buckeye?
Wow, just one word. I'd have to say tradition, just because of, like I said, where my family comes from as far as Ohio State, going to games with my son, with my wife, with my mom. It's all tradition. It's there's something about walking into that stadium that it's like no other. A few years ago, I became a red coat at Ohio State, and I was there for a year, 2019. And since then, I've gotten a job at Ohio State, so I can't do both. But that one year being a red coat and being able to go to every game and greeting fans and just being it was the greatest job I've ever had. It paid almost nothing, but it didn't matter. It was probably the greatest job I've ever had. And it was all tradition. You look around the shoe and the names and the dates and the Victory Bell Tower, and you think of the people that were on that field and on that sideline, and you can't help but just fall in love with everything. It's every time I see scarlet and gray somewhere, it just is a feeling of just like, yes, wherever you are. I've been to Seattle, I've been to Los Angeles, I've been to New York, and I wear Ohio State gear. It never fails that somebody across the street or across the store will yell OH. And my wife gets annoyed because it happens everywhere we go, and I go, and she goes, what is going on? I go, it's Buckeye Nation.
Yeah,
We're everywhere. We're just everywhere. And it's not, a we're better than you thing. It's just a sense of family. You know, it's it's like if you see someone that hey man, how's it going? And that's it. It doesn't matter that you don't know this person. If they're wearing scarlet and gray, you're family.
right.
It like I said, I was in New York at a store and I didn't even see this person. I heard OH. It's just we travel. I think we travel better than any other team in the country. And it's because we have this sense of family and tradition. And, it is Ohio against the world. And,
Hmm.
it never gets old. It never gets old to have someone look at your hat or your jersey and just kind of give you a nod. And it's indescribable. Absolutely indescribable.
Well, I think you did a good job describing it myself, Erik. So show everybody your shirt there real fast. Pull it up. So, there you go. Official member, folks. That's right. He's been an official member. You can be an official member. $3.99 a month if you want to get the behind the scenes content that we produce.
You
Chris and I about.
don't need the Starbucks coffee. Give it here.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. It only costs $3.99 a month. You get free content, you get free shipping from the store, all kinds of good stuff like that. So make sure you guys check that out. It's over on the website, theohiopodcast.com. Go to YouTube channel, go to the YouTube channel, click join, $3.99 a month, and you can be like Erik. We appreciate Erik joining us. It looks like his phone died out on us, but boy, what a great answer that was. And we appreciate him coming, being a part of this show. Hope you enjoyed this. Hit the thumbs up button, give us a like, comment in the comment section below. And if you're a member, maybe we'll bring you on and do a fan interview with you. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen High with all your heart. Till next time, go Bucks.